Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. Welcome to day 9 of my 12 days of Crafty Christmas. Today I'm going to be bringing you a slightly different sort of project. I'm creating a Christmas decoration with you. Now I have to confess this is not something of my own creation. I attended a Stampin' Up event recently and one of the projects that was presented to us was this decoration that I'm going to make with you today, and the lady that presented it to us was the lovely Barbara Maynard, and if I can find her I will link her in my description box. This was just such a beautiful project that I felt that I just had to share it with you. So I'm going to be using just one sheet of 12 by 12. This is two-tone cardstock in Secret Sea. You could use normal cardstock if that's what you've got, but it does look really effective with the two-tone. You're also going to want some sort of circle punch. It doesn't really matter what size, just some kind of circle punch. You're going to want some kind of ribbon, twine, thread to be able to hang your decoration. You're going to need some adhesive, you're going to want your bone folder and also your trimmer. Now we're going to start off by cutting at 8 centimetres. Cut 8 centimetres. 8 centimetres. And then we're going to rotate and cut at 4. And then again at 4. And you're going to want to keep going until you get to 8. So number 5, number 6, number 7, and then I'm going to cut one more strip, so I'm going to cut this one at 4 centimetres and then rotate to cut the 8. So the version that we did was larger than this one. Really, really beautiful. But I thought I would shrink it down a little bit because then they will look super cute and you can hang them on the tree, was my thinking. So these are my pieces. I'm done with my cutting blade. I'm now going to score. I should have done this before I cut them really. I'm going to score at 4 centimetres. First of all, so 4 centimetres, 4 centimetres, so each one at 4. And then again. And just keep going until you've scored them all at 4 centimetres. So I am definitely going to be making several of these to put on my tree. I would love to know if you are a artificial tree house or a real tree house. We have for the last several years been a real tree house. I love a real tree. The smell. I don't love the pine needles everywhere. But we would normally have a real tree. But this year we have got little Miss Pippin, who is not quite 12 weeks old yet. And we thought that having a real tree with a little puppy was probably not the best idea. So we have an artificial tree this year, which it's pre-lit. It looks so pretty. But yeah, I'd love to know if you're a real tree household or an artificial tree. And are you a 1st of December we get the decorations out? Are you kind of couple of days before Christmas? Are you an early bird that likes to put them up kind of as soon as Halloween is out of the way? Yeah, I'd love to know. Feel free to leave me a comment and let me know. So the next step for creating our project is we are going to score diagonally from the centre point down to this corner, and then from the centre point down to this corner. And it's super easy with the trimmer. You just line it up and score, and then rotate and line it up and score again. And we're going to do that on all 8. So just lining that up. Away we go. And I could have done some of this ahead of time, but I think it's nice to see the whole process. I try not to do kind of a Blue Peter, here's one I prepared earlier, but I do like to have a plan of what I'm doing. I expect sometimes that it doesn't really seem like I have a plan of what I'm doing, but I do at least like to have a general idea of what I'm creating for you. Sometimes the kind of finishing touches I leave undecided and then decide during my filming, which is probably the kind of thing that you either like or you don't like. I don't edit my videos. They come out to you exactly as I film them. So sometimes they are a bit waffly, sometimes I'm not really sure what I'm doing and I change my mind. But I really like to be able to kind of bring you along for my process and, you know, really show kind of who I am and how I craft kind of in real life, rather than kind of a polished pre-planned and edited video. I'm sure there will come a time when I will want to kind of edit my videos and maybe make them a little bit more professional, perhaps. But I do enjoy the when I watch other people's videos, I really like the kind of authentic self. You know, as crafters, you know, we are human, we make mistakes, we measure things wrong, we cut things wrong, we change our minds mid-project, and I think it's nice to show that. But let me know what you think. Do you like the kind of as we go, or do you prefer kind of that more kind of polished? Okay, so now I have got all of my pieces scored and I am going to fold them. So I'm folding these outer triangles inwards and then they're kind of butting up together like that. Now I've made this smaller and I think that my 2 3/8 circle punch is going to be too big, but we shall see. So I'm going to stick them down and we're going to repeat the same process for all 8. Now I'm using the 2-tone cardstock. It is up to you whether you want to fold them all the same way so that you have either the dark or the light on the outside and then the dark or the light on the inside, or you can alternate them. I am going to leave them all the same way, so I'm going to have the dark on the outside. So I'm just folding all of those score lines. If you're using the standard weight cardstock, you will want to use your bone folder. With the 2-tone cardstock, I don't feel like I need to. And I'm going to make sure that when I'm tucking them all the same way so that they're nice and even. So I've got the right hand piece coming over the top of the left hand piece, if that makes sense. So when I've done that, I'm bringing this piece effectively in behind the left hand piece, so they all kind of fold in the same way, whereas if I did them the other way, they'd fold, it would look the other way, if that makes sense. Again, it's entirely up to you. You could purposefully alternate them, you could just fold them however you fold them, and that's that. But I like to have them all matching. And this, it's such a clever idea that there's kind of quite a lot of steps in the scoring, but once you've done the scoring, they come together so quickly. And they're just so pretty and effective. So the ones that we created at the event that I attended, Barbara had put a post into the middle that meant that we could add a sentiment, which in the larger size, with the kind of idea that, you know, you might pop it on a picture hook, or, you know, as a wreath on your front door, was such a beautiful idea. I've opted not to do that today because, like I say, my idea is that this will go on the Christmas tree. But I will show you the one that I created at the event that I attended. Actually, I think 2 3/8 even circle punch will do the job. Now you can do them so that you've got all of the points inwards, or you could rotate them and make it into a star. Now, she did show us how to do this and I can't remember what she said. Like that. So you could make it into like a star shape if you wanted to. So I'm going to do a 2 3/8 circle punch, and then I'm just going to add some adhesive. Kind of all around, and then I'm going to kind of aim for about where the centre is and just kind of mark the centre, and then I'm just going to go round in a circle, butting them up to each other. And just keep going all the way around. Butting them up together. Like so. And then a scrap here of the gold ribbon, and what would be ideal would be a bit of tear and tape. So I'm going to pop that down, pop my bit of tear and tape over the top like that, Then I'm going to grab another bit of tear and tape and make my little loop. There's my little loop. I'm going to pop that bit of tape over the top, and then I'm going to punch a second circle. This is optional, you don't need to do this, but I'm punching a second circle, and then I'm going to pop that over the top of that circle so that I'm then hiding my ribbon. And then give it a squidge. And there we go. I just thought they were so pretty. Let me grab the one that I made. Ooh. So the one that I made at the event that we attended, I actually haven't added any ribbon or twine, but we did pop a little post in the middle. You see how it's larger? We've got a little post in the middle. I don't know how well you can see that. I'm trying not to like pull it off, so that we could then pop a sentiment in the middle. I really like them. I'm going to be making so many of these. They're just so pretty. And you could add in a little bit of Wink of Stella if you wanted to. You could add some embellishments. You could add some sequins, make them sparkly. Literally the world is your oyster. You could use designer series paper. We've got some beautiful Christmassy designer series papers, so you could use some designer series paper instead of cardstock or the two-tone cardstock. The possibilities are endless. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would go back and watch videos 1 through 8. And also if you would join me again tomorrow for day 10. I can't quite believe that we are hurtling through these 12 days as quickly as we are. But if you've liked today's project, I would love it if you would like the video. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. And as always, the link to my website and the link to shop with me are down in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. Bye.